how to build a massive community using NFTs.
Today, we're going to meet sports card collectors and seasoned podcasters from Lucas Tigers and Bronze Oh My, what a name, and to find out why they decided to utilize NFTs as a way to connect and grow with their community. Welcome to Goats and the Metaverse, the only weekly show that goes deep into the world of collectibles and NFTs. I'm here joined by my friend Stan. Stan, how has your week been? What's been happening, my man?
Everything is going great. I'm just sitting here smiling, admiring how gracefully you say that. You're like a professional. If things don't work out in the NFT space, whether it's South Africa or Britain, you got it, man. You're gonna be on the radio one day.
Stop it. I mean, carry on.
All right, I'll continue. Yes, everything is going great. I'm excited for the show. Another dull week in NFTs where absolutely nothing has happened. We have nothing to talk about. We're going to improvise for the next 45 minutes to 60 minutes. But before we do any of that and before we meet our guest, who I'm very excited to bring on, let's talk about the Goat Bowl. The Goat Bowl. The Goat Bowl.
$35,000 this week, sitting in the vault, waiting to be claimed. I don't think people really get it because, there's $35,000 worth of NFTs sitting in this vault. And to win it, it's the easiest thing to do in the world. All you have to do is subscribe to our show. Tell your friends, tell your family, tweet it out, get people to subscribe. Once we hit 5,000 subscribers, we are opening up the vault. And you could win one of these claimed NFTs in our vault. And every week, we go out and find the next drop to add into the vault. We're putting $10,000 of our own money into the vault. We've invested about $3,000 of that so far and turned it into $35,000. So by the end, we think we're going to be looking somewhere between 6 to 7 figures when we open up this vault. And you, as our loyal subscribers, could be winning. So subscribe today. And you could stand a chance to win all the NFTs, some of the NFTs, an NFT from the vault. But don't delay, because we are going to be counting from when you started to be able to determine who our lucky winners are.
Well said, my friend. And I would like to add that our last week we were at $33,808. ETH actually is down from last week, we're still up. We're at $35,031.
That's because we got the coolest cat of the Coolcats in the vault. So that cool cat is making us proud. It's we didn't know what's going to be the big mover when we brought it in. What did we pay for that cool cat when we brought it in? I think it was like 0.2 ETH or 0.08 ETH, something like that. And now it's worth 6.5 Ethereum.
No, 1.4.
Oh, we paid 1.4, but 6.35 ETH today. That's a lot of.
And by the way, I would like to add, not only we paid 1.4 for it, and I recall, and for all of you historians sitting at home, we actually sold a pudgy penguin, which we bought for, I think, 0.02, reinvested that money into a cool cat. And now that cool cat has tripled in value. So if that's not making moves, I don't know what is. Well, listen, subscribe. Let's go on with the show. Let's talk about what's happening in the market. What's happening in the NFT market? Yossi?
Yeah, well, speaking of making moves, the market is continuing to move. We have seen what we had last week was primarily red in all of our 7-day movements. This week, we've predominantly got green arrows going on all the way around across all of our projects. We're seeing some good uplift. And interestingly enough, CryptoPunks are back on the scene. Number 3 in the market, up 100% in terms of volume for the past 7-day average with $53 million in sales. Our good old friends at the Bored Ape Yacht Club still there. And some new entrants entering into the market, some projects I hadn't heard of before, popping up out of nowhere almost. Anonymice, don't know what that is, $16 million in sales. I'm going to have to look into Anonymice, find out a little bit more. And Emblem Vault, another project I hadn't heard of before. You know anything about them, Stan?
I don't. I do know about Sneaky Vampire Syndicate. A buddy of mine texted me a few weeks ago and said, hey, have you ever heard of this project called Sneaky Vampire Syndicate? And I said, I do not. I don't know anything about them. Well, I believe he bought in at Mint, and it looks like they're doing pretty well from this side of the table.
Interesting to see that Axie is down. So that ride that Axie has been going on is down a little bit this week, and we're seeing a little bit of a slowdown in the NFT market in certain categories, along with the crypto slowdown. Past few days, we had some dips in ETH and Bitcoin. Seems to have recovered today, and the NFT market moving in some similar movements to that. But we've got some big news and announcements that have happened that have helped drive the market. So let's unpack what we've seen happen in the past week.
Bored Ape Yacht Club released Roadmap 2.0. Everybody's excited. It's a very pretty roadmap. Nobody really understands what it actually means. But we see Miami on there. We see, what else do we see on there? Looks like there's a cruise going on. There's a big party happening in New York City.
Yeah, first annual Ape Fest on the 31st of October till the 6th of November. That's quite a long fest. That's 7 days of ape festing, which could be quite fun. I wonder how that's going to work. What I like about the way they've released this roadmap, it's very different to what you would expect from a traditional roadmap. It's not text-based. They've just got this little treasure hunt, and that creates a lot of excitement and buzz and chats in the community on what does it mean and what's happening over here. There's a mobile game probably coming. You can see two ape hands holding a phone that says play. The treasure hunt. What is that? We have Sandbox Miami 2035.
That seems like a party.
That could be fun. And I think what most people are excited about is there's a clubhouse being built in Miami in the real world, IRL. And people are pretty stoked about what that could be. I think the imaginations are going wild on what the Bored Ape Yacht Club is going to bring and deliver. Will expectations meet up to our collective imaginations? Well, they haven't failed to deliver yet, so let's see what's happening there. And maybe the most interesting thing out of that roadmap is they allude to a DAO. DAOs are happening everywhere. We joined one a few weeks ago, League DAO, which we mentioned on the show. How is our league doing, just by the way?
We're 0-2, by the way. I don't even think Yossi knows that. We suck. But you know what? It's not over. It's only 2 weeks in. I promise we're going to come back strong. We got some bad breaks in the first 2 weeks. We're planning on something. It's gonna be a comeback. I promise.
There's gonna be a comeback. All right, you're gonna watch the comeback show next week.
Guaranteeing a victory. I don't even know who's on our fantasy team or who we're playing against, but I'm guaranteeing a W.
All right. Well, back to Bored Apes and the DAO that they're creating. We don't know what it is, but it's very intriguing. There are many projects that have recently been forming DAOs. The first that we saw doing that was Nouns.wtf, which we mentioned on our show a number of weeks back, where every noun holder becomes a DAO member. So we don't know what Bored Apes are going to be doing, but they allude to it in the roadmap, which makes it pretty interesting and exciting. And we have seen some uplift in the Bored Ape Yacht Club pricing since that roadmap announcement.
There's so much speculation about what they're going to do. And I think they're actually, like I heard, if you own a dog, you have the mutant and you have the actual ape, like you're going to have special privy into other things. And I think those types of things are very smart, right? Like that's how you could really start creating and separating yourself from other NFT projects. Everything they have done so far has been a success. I'm pretty bullish that they're going to continue to win. We'll continue to pay close attention to it and update you guys. In other news, Lost Poets is going to Sotheby's.
That's big. So Lost Poets, if you recall, created by the artist Puck or Pack, was the first artist that Sotheby's actually sold their works. what was called the Lost Cubes was the project that was sold at Sotheby's. So we're seeing Puck going back to Sotheby's with the Lost Poets collection. Still very vague in terms of what does that actually mean and what are the Lost Poets. 65,000 odd of these pages were minted, all sold out. Second highest NFT sale that I believe happened to date of a collection, something in the region of about $40 million, was sold on that primary sale. Newton Ape Yacht Club was higher than that, or maybe it was $48 million. So Lost Poets now going to Sotheby's. We saw the floor price go from about 0.35 or 0.4 ETH all the way up to 1.1 ETH. So people holding the Lost Poet pages, we're very excited. We'll see what happens at Sotheby's, and more will be revealed. And similar to Bored Apes on these roadmaps, giving very little information so people can speculate and ideate on what it could mean and what it could do, and creating that kind of buzz and chatter about the project, as opposed to giving very clear information of what it is. So that seems to be the approach right now that's working, and the market is liking it.
It looks like Pranksy spent 340 Ethereum on this project. So he seems pretty bullish about it. And from what I understand, he's very, very barely ever wrong. So let's see what happens. Maybe he has some more insights on it than we do. But what we do continue to see week after week, and we mentioned it briefly earlier, Coolcats continues to be on the rise. And more people are coming up and saying, this is a blue chip project. This is going to be a top 5 or top 3 project once everything is said and done. And their growth has been steady. It hasn't gone crazy like some of these other projects, but it continues to go up day by day. Obviously fluctuates and does go down, but it continues to gain momentum, and I'm bullish on it. I know you're bullish on it. What are you? Is it officially a blue chipper, or is there still is the jury still out on it?
I don't know if we can call it a blue chipper just yet. And quite frankly, most of these projects haven't even been around for a year. So calling anything a blue chip is a little bit crazy. Coolcats are maybe about 3 months old, maybe 4.
What about Bored Apes? I mean,
and Bored Apes are the same. They're too soon to be saying that they're blue chip, but they do have $90 million behind them to do some really cool stuff with. But what I think is interesting about Coolcats, and we're seeing it play out here, is this partnership with Time, who we're going to talk about their upcoming drop tomorrow, and that collaboration with a large media house, what that potentially could mean for the reach and distribution of the Coolcats story. And that audience, Coolcats is claiming that space for a younger demographic that's more accessible and open than maybe a Bored Ape or a Punk. So very wide-ranging appeal. And that partnership with Time, I think, was a very smart move from both Time and Coolcats to build out those communities and increase that distribution and range. So IP, ownership, distribution, reach, all of those things that you would think about in a traditional business starting to play out in how we think about NFTs and which ones will be valuable and why they'll be valuable over time. So that's what we're seeing within Coolcats.
And let's talk about the Time drop. Tell us about it.
Well, Time Magazine or Time Group Media House announced that they are releasing Timepieces. Timepieces is a new NFT community initiative from Time. They are releasing a premiere collection of timepieces titled Build a Better Future, and have asked 40, what they say are incredible creatives, for their interpretation of what that better future idea could look like. That means there's 40 artists who have come together, some of them well-known NFT creators, some of them dropping their first NFT creations. And that results in 37 unique artworks and 4,676 NFTs that are being released. Owners of that NFT get forever or perpetual access to time.com, and they allude to additional benefits and drops and access. But I'm going to detail about what that is. And I think that's pretty interesting. Time making moves, a big media house saying, we think this is the future. We think this is something that is beyond just what people speculate on, whether you have a goat or a cat and these kind of profile pictures. This is a new way for media companies to engage their audiences, and they're doubling down on that. So I think very clever from them. Excited to see what that drop looks like tomorrow. I'm probably going to scoop up one or two of those NFTs just to be part of it. And I'm a supporter of what Time might be doing with Time.
And I think they're going to be first of many to do the same. I think we're going to see a lot of these big corporations that have access to, assets and IPs that they could turn into NFTs follow suit. And I'm excited to see where this lands as well.
One thing that I'm hesitant of, I bought into a NFT project a while ago called Artvatars. It was a collection roughly of 40 artists as well, that each designed an Artvatar, and then it created a random generation of all the different artists creating one kind of PFP project, which sounded cool in theory. They actually created some really beautiful stuff, but what was then missing is that because you had 40 artists who were part of this community, no one was really the main driver of it. No one really had their kind of name on the line or anything. It was just like this cool contribution that everyone was a part of. Think of Gary Vee as an example. He's the driving force of VeeFriends. Bored Apes, they just focus on Bored Apes. What you've got here is a collaboration with Time and 40 artists that could go extremely well if you maybe get some kind of artist that now becomes famous over time and you got one of their rare mints. So that's the only thing that gives me a little bit of a question: is this going to be something that turns into something iconic, or is it, a little bit gimmicky, having all these different artists coming together and doing a curated drop?
Well, I think it's long-term game, right? Because I know we've seen Xcopy be involved in some drops with other various artists, and a lot of people didn't know about it. And then when they found out about it, they're able to, like, I bought a few Xcopy pieces for a few Ethereum, and some of his other pieces are selling for 300 Ethereum, right? So I'm betting that, like, I'm buying these things cheap, considering the fact that he's the OG in the space, right? So I think it's going to be the same type of situation where it could be an artist or two that nobody's ever heard of, or maybe that obviously they have some sort of fame, but then they blow up in a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, and this turns out to be maybe their first NFT, right? Or their fifth NFT. So you never know. I mean, I think that's, obviously the game we're playing. And we shall see. Excited to check out the drop. Before we get into our guest, do we want to talk about OpenSea insider trading that's been rocking the NFT world?
Yeah, rocking the NFT world indeed. OpenSea, as we know, is the biggest NFT marketplace where pretty much the majority of secondary sales in the NFT world happens. And it was revealed on Twitter that one of the employees at OpenSea who knew about the front page showcases of which are the new NFTs that are going to be showcased on the front page, who knew about that days or weeks before they would be showcased, started front running them. What that means is he was buying those NFTs, putting them in a wallet, and then flipping them when they were showcased on the front page, making a couple of ETH. I think in total he made 19 Ethereum. Probably not a very smart calculation. He's at one of the fastest growing venture-backed companies in the industry. Probably pretty well paid, got good stock options, and miscalculation of judgment, I would say, on that. But the industry very much coming hard onto OpenSea, saying this is unacceptable. This is not what we want to see in this industry. And just a lesson, again, showing you that you always have to do your own research. You've got to be looking at everything. There are actors out there who aren't coming in with the best intentions. But what is great to know is that everything's on chain, everything's transparent, and you are able to actually do these types of investigations and see, is this legitimate behavior or not?
Do you think that now Nifty or one of these other platforms has an open lane to go after OpenSea, or do you think they're so far ahead of everybody else that it's like even this type of news is not going to rock them?
I think they handled the response well. They came down hard very quickly. They acknowledged it. They were
But they didn't actually say who it was, right? There was speculation that it was head of product, and
they didn't say who it was. Although the head of product is the person who was the wallet that was identified, and they didn't say if there was anyone else in the organization who was doing the same. But they did come out with a response saying that this isn't the behavior that they want within OpenSea, that they are going to address it. And I think the industry is young, fast growing, and probably forgiving in the short term. This is kind of like your first mistake. We'll slap you on the wrist and forgive you. But we'll watch closely that if something like this happens again, then there may be less forgiving and a bigger opportunity for a new emerging player to take on that space.
Cool. And one last thing, SoftBank leads with a $600 million funding round in SoRare. Another big player.
Yeah, that is a big number. $680 million funding round in NFT fantasy soccer game SoRare. If you think about it, the beautiful game, soccer, biggest sport in the world.
Football.
Not the way the rest of the world calls it. So soccer or football, biggest sport in the world. And SoftBank taking a very big bet, saying that the way we are going to interact with this sport is not the way you are doing it today. It's not about the media or TV rights anymore. It's going to be about them NFTs, and they're bringing their muscle and power behind that. So it's going to be exciting to see how that plays out. I, for one, have not got any SoRare NFTs, and maybe I've been sleeping on something, and I should actually be checking out the community and starting to investigate. And we should bring someone onto our show who's deep in the SoRare world.
I agree.
Teach us all about it, so our fans and followers can start to learn about that community.
So if you're a SoRare expert, hit us up on IG or Twitter, and let's get you on the show. Well, I'm excited for the next segment of our show. Just because we get to learn about new NFTs, and we have some anecdotes we could share about our guests. Without further ado, I mean, these guys' names is Cage and Goldberg. I mean, we're talking about they're like a bunch of wrestlers over here. Cage.
Are we on the same team, or are we on the tag team?
You guys are a tag team. It's like Stanley Meytin and Yossi versus Andrew and Cage. What's up, gentlemen? How are you? Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us. After
Thank
listening
you.
for that 20 minutes, we would lose that match. You guys, I mean, Yossi doesn't even take a breath. Forget about it. Look at the stamina we got going on here. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's great stuff. Listen, thanks for having us. We appreciate it. I gotta say, I listened to the first 20 minutes of the show, and I was bullish on the space before. I was bullish on NFTs. I was bullish on overall before. But, it's funny. We're sports card guys, right? And we've gotten into NFTs, and, we're going to talk about that in a second. But we're over here talking about how, sports cards might change when somebody invests a little bit of money in it. There's a couple of decent brands. We talk about how Fanatics just got involved, and they'll be coming into the space in 3 to 5 years. And that's the company. But I sit here, I listen to you guys talk about, Time Magazine, I'm talking about, this bank that's putting $680 million into SoRare, which is like an ancillary NFT, right? You got Visa buying a CryptoPunk, and you're like, okay, guys, there's obviously something going on in this area, right? And we have a dedicated audience in sports cards. And those companies are not in sports cards. These companies are in NFTs. So it's an eye-opening thing. Thanks for letting us kind of just listen to that, because it's pretty awesome.
Our pleasure. So
it's pretty awesome. It is pretty awesome, Cage and Andrew. I'd love to hear that background. I mean, you mentioned you guys are card collectors, but now going into the NFT world. Tell us a bit about the story of the genesis of your card collecting world. And I know you run a daily podcast, and you're covering a lot of stuff happening there. And then we'll go into what was the light bulb moment to say, well, this is the future. We should be doing something in NFTs, and take us through that journey.
You want me to jump on it, handsome? Yeah, all right. Loads of fun. So I've been collecting cards since, 4 or 5 decades now. I mean, I've been collecting since I was a kid. Hardly took a break from it at all. went to college and law school, and I think it's funny, we're always chasing that alpha. I tell people this every once in a while when we're guests on shows. I mean, I paid for my law school books selling Beanie Babies on eBay in the 90s. So, there's always a chase, right? There's always something, right? And it's funny with that backdrop, I always have a little bit of hesitancy that, is this the next Beanie Baby? Is this the next Pogs? Is this the next thing that's here and then gone, right? So there's always a little bit of that holding me back. And sometimes I miss out on some things because of holding back because of that. We can get into that. So I've always been collecting cards. We'll get right into the podcast and where we are now. But I would say about 2.5, 3 years ago, I was putting some of my cards on Twitter, pictures. I was grading cards, you name it. And, a handsome individual by the name of Gary V reached out to me on Twitter. And he said, hey, I see your cards. I see your posts and stuff. I see all this stuff, I'd like to learn a little bit about it. I want to buy a bunch of stuff from you. I went to his office and sold him some cards. And that became a not a one-time thing. And at the time I was doing this, believe it or not, I didn't know Andrew, hadn't met Andrew. He was working for Gary V at the time. He was a Gary V employee. Funny, one of these, like we kind of like missed, ships passing in the night. It wasn't our time yet, guys. So, I'm selling cards to Gary. Gary's getting big into it. He's going to the National, and he puts together an Instagram group. And, it's a group of like 30 people, and Andrew was in it, and that's where I met him. And a bunch of hobby pros were in this, people who own stores, people who have businesses. And in the summer of last year, while COVID's going on and everybody's kind of home and, a little more time on their hands and everybody's flipping cards and the card craze is going nuts. For whatever reason, there was one week where people were like, hey, you should do a podcast. Cage, you should be on a podcast. And like 3 people were like, yeah, Cage, you should do a podcast. You got some stories. And I'm like, what's a podcast? Lucky for me, Andrew reaches out and says, I'll send you a Zoom link next day. He sends me a Zoom link. We got 3 episodes recorded in a day, and we haven't stopped recording since. So there's my genesis of where we are. We're 442 episodes deep. We do an episode every single day.
Never miss a day.
Never miss a day. Never miss a day. Not Christmas, not birthday.
One of you guys missed a day?
Nope.
No. That's commitment.
That's not what we're about.
Incredible.
We got to show. And I'll tell you, Stanley, it was hard at first. It really was. But having the accountability of you don't want to let your partner down, there's something to that. So in the beginning, I would say the first 60, 90 days, there was Saturdays and Sundays I woke up and I was like, I don't want to do this at all. But you don't want to let your team down. So it really became easier. Now we have a community that we've built. And we kind of owe it to them, right? They expect us to show up. And no matter, what the day is, because we're humans. I don't feel good sometimes. Sometimes I just want to lay in bed and watch football. We don't want to let them down. And they've kept us going through some tough days, relatively tough days, right? Because life is amazing. So that's that. My story is really basic. I collected as a kid and was working at Gary's. He was talking about how this industry is right on the cuff of blowing up. Sneaker flippers were getting into the game, all that stuff. And I mean, maybe this is a popular opinion, maybe not. I just saw an opportunity to make my hobby into a business. And I've always wanted to be in business for myself. Even working for Gary was a blessing. But now looking back, man, I hate working for someone. I've gotten fired from the last 5 jobs I've ever had. And 3 of those jobs are with my dad. So I just can't do it. And Yossi, you might know this. We're immigrants from Ukraine, so it's like the rite of passage. You go into the family business, and I saw the opportunity with creating content, teaching people from the mistakes that I've made in my past with finances and cards, right? Because cards are a great metaphor, and I think NFTs are too, for how to manage your finances and how to manage investments and things like that. So I wanted to share and maybe just be a guide for people so they don't have to go through some of the mistakes that I made.
I love that. And it also seems like all roads lead to Gary V. He is everywhere in this industry. Gary V is everywhere. I got to meet this man.
Do they lead to Gary or from Gary?
They lead from both probably. They go both ways. So it seems.
All right, so let's talk about sports cards. Obviously, you guys are deep into it. Episode 442. You're putting out daily content. How do we find out about NFTs? Where did that come from?
Whew. So, it's a tale as old as time, right? So sports cards were where alpha was. People are always seeking alpha. People are always chasing that alpha. And for a long time, you were able to make those returns in sports cards. And, it catches up to you, right? PSA, grading, flipping, you name it. The more people came in it, the more backlogs there were, the more difficult it was to kind of turn your investment into 2x, 3x, 4x as quickly as it was. And why I say tales all the time is I have the same story as a lot of people in the sports card world. The first, I'm not going to call it an NFT because your audience is going to jump all over me for it. I know it's not an NFT, and it's definitely not, it's definitely not what you guys would consider, on a chain. It's a flow blockchain, so it's a little different, and it's centralized. But Top Shot, right? So Top Shot was our first, foray into something other than cardboard. It was the first digital asset, let's call it that. It taught us something about blockchain. It taught us something about, the space and the positives when you compare it to tangible assets. So some of the pain points, and I started talking about this. It's funny, last year before Top Shot came out, I started talking about the pain points, and the pain points were logistics. The pain points were, returns for no reason. With a sports card, as opposed to a so rare, right? If you wanted to, you buy a card of somebody who's playing sports on eBay, right? You buy it before their game this week, right? And they suck for the next 2 weeks. eBay was letting you return that card to the person you bought it from with a 30-day window. Now, if they do great, you keep the card. If they suck, you turn it back. It's almost like you get a 30-day free trial on your investment. Imagine doing that with Apple stock the day of earnings, right? Imagine, oh yeah, I'm going to play earnings. Well, they missed. I'm going to give it back. So that was one of the big pain points. That, the logistics, shipping. The post office was insane for a while there, where nothing was getting there. Things were getting lost. People were, asking for refunds because the post office was taking too long. So all of a sudden, all these bottlenecks, all of this, let's use our word, friction, which was in the tangible world, that is missing, unless you count gas, in the digital world, right? It's no backseas, it's automatic transfer, it's transparency. You see what's going on the chain, right? Top Shot was great because it once it was there, it was gone. There was no returns, right? If the guy had a bad game, you weren't giving it back. You weren't asking for a refund, right? And you could see who was buying it. You could see what was going on. You could see the prices for all these things. It was all out there. It's all in the open. You can't hide. And while Top Shot is not OpenSeas, right? It's very different. It was a good gateway drug, right? We're onto the hard stuff now. That was the good gateway drug, right? So that was the start to it. I got into that. I got to tell you, in January when I saw that for the first time, I called Andrew. I called a couple people. I'm like, just get in now. This is about to explode. I couldn't have timed any better. It literally exploded 4 days after that phone call, and it just kind of went nuts. But I got to tell you, if we're allowed, a lot of people went from Top Shot, the gateway drug, right into the hard stuff. Right, they went right from the Mary Jane right into the LSD. Right, they went right into Bored Apes. They jumped right into the apes. They were racing their Zed-run horses.
440 episodes with this, guys, ladies and gentlemen.
We're only 10 minutes in. We're talking about LSD already.
And by the way, this is why we're successful. This is the money right here. So in any event, right? So the Zed-run people are breeding
Mary
horses.
Jane, LSD, Lucas Tigers. It's basically
it's a family. Family show. Oh my. No, so people are jumping into this, and I got to tell you, if you go back to our shows in March and April, I was like, what are people doing? I got Top Shot. It's sports. It was kind of card-y. You know what I mean? They were moments. They were not cards. I'm like, why are people putting these monkeys? What's with the apes? Why are people buying these things? And of course, the smart people who made all that killing in Top Shot, they rolled their money into apes. They were minting them. They're buying them for 1 ETH. And now, look what they're doing. And I'm like, what are you doing with the apes? That's baloney. What are they? There's nothing to it. You name it. And of course, I missed out. I got real close on VFriends. Right? I'm like, all right, let's get in it. Go ahead. Please jump in.
Cage just remembers all his losers and doesn't remember his winners. That's how he fucking.
It's true. It's the chip. I'm not an immigrant. I was born here, but I still can have a chip on my shoulder. I got to carry my losses.
Well, you're from Brooklyn. I mean, Brooklyn is like a melting pot of every culture there possibly is. But with me with NFTs, I don't know, man. To me, it's kind of basic. Like, I love history, I love sports, and I like art. And I kind of think it's like a crossover of all of those things, right? Like, you look at Jackson Pollock, for example. Like, someone would say that, like, is that art? Like, the guy just threw paint on a painting. But you'd walk into someone's house and they have, see, this is the art I like. But like, you'd walk into someone's house and they have that hung up. It tells you a little bit about something, right? So you have that kind of, I don't know if it's virtue signaling, but you signal this is who I am as a person. With COVID, it kind of magnified that, right? We were all home, we were all communicating digitally, and people wanted to show off. Look, I have this card. Look, I have this NFT. It's the same game, right? You want to be a part of a community. I mean, we hear it all the time. Loneliness is the biggest killer in the world right now. Why is that? Because we want to be a part of a community. So NFTs are no different than sports cards. The biggest difference is one's tangible, one's a physical thing, one's digital. But really, we want to do it to show people who we are, make a little bit of money, and it's the collector, gambler gene in us. So to me, NFTs are a really basic thing, and crypto, it doesn't scare me because I got fortunate. I was in it 2013, 14, 15, not from necessarily even an investment standpoint. I moved to Silicon Valley after college. So I just saw that world in its beginning and its infancy. So I was like, this is cool. This just makes sense.
So do you think the traditional card market, seeing that you guys are now going from that world into the NFT world, do you think the traditional card market is dead? And in 10 years' time, NFTs are going to be the only way these moments are traded and collected? And cards are a vintage collector's item that will have some status in our world. I grew up collecting basketball cards. I remember those moments very fondly. But that is going to be a dead generation, and only people born 1990 or before will actually value basketball cards in any shape or form, or physical collectible cards in any shape or form. And really, the value now is in these digital collectibles.
I mean, I could make a joke, but obviously not. Like, they're definitely not going to be not that. And it's funny how NFTs and collectibles work. Like, just like recently, NFTs catch theme, VHS tapes catch theme, right? It's kind of both. Like, you kind of put, like, you have this futuristic push into the future, and it's met like with every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Like, with every push into the future, there's a push back into the past. So I actually think collectibles work in both ways. I'd urge people to look at coins, right? A lot of this, it's like my parents' boomer friends, a lot of them collected coins, right? They started from collecting like these really, really rare silver, bronze. I'm sorry, I won't call people boomers anymore, Cage. I'm sorry about that. But no, collectibles aren't going anywhere. And with the influx of fiat USD printing, I think you just see collectibles. I mean, that money's got to go somewhere. It's just that simple in my eyes. And I think we're just in the third inning. Just kidding, Cage. So we're just in the third inning of all this.
Not to disappoint your audience, the answer is an emphatic no. Cards are not going to die. Tangible assets are not going to die and give way to the metaverse only, right? It is not an or. It is an and. It will always be an and.
I think Blockbuster said when they saw the internet coming, but I'm not sure it worked out that way.
It's true, right? And Amazon killed everybody, but ultimately Amazon is going to open up brick and mortars, and they still had to have returns processed at Kohl's, and they still had to have brick and mortar even after they dominated with online. So you're right. But ultimately, you need a footprint. And here's where I'll go with this, right?
Blockbuster's eBay, though, right? So there's still movies. It's just, where do you get the movies is really the question.
So I guess what I'm going to say with this is I expect the world to still exist, right? You'll be in the metaverse. You'll have your Oculus on, or whatever it is that whatever company comes out with it at the time. And Facebook's going to be a metaverse company, right? But you're still going to be sitting somewhere. Your physical body's going to be somewhere. We're not all going to be plugged into the Matrix just yet. You know what I mean? Red pill, blue pill. We're not going to be, there's still going to be an outside. There's still going to be baseball fields. There's still going to be, physical activities. And my son, while he likes to play Fortnite and loves the skins and loves the digital stuff, he also asks Santa for Nerf guns and baseball bats and tangible items. This way he can go run around and enjoy the physical world as well. There will still be sports. There'll still be Yankee games. There'll still be, basketball games. There'll still be LeBron and LeBron's son playing those games. There's still going to be a physical world. I hope And while it's great that NFTs are there and everybody's building up their art galleries with their Damien Hirst currencies and their rare Pepes and whatever else they're putting in their galleries, that's a great thing. And I can't wait for that for a couple hours a day. But I also want to take my kid out and maybe throw a wiffle ball to my grandson. You know what I mean? Like, there still has to be a physical world as well. It's not going to be one or the other. It's going to be both. And baseball cards, guys, there are baseball cards from the 1860s, right? There's always been something to threaten that as a commodity, right? I mean, baseball cards have been around for 160 years. So, and that's just one collectible, right? There's the Cincinnati team card from the 1860s, one of the coolest, oldest cards, right? There are always going to be things that threaten it. I'm going to sound like James Earl Jones. It's not just baseball cards, but I put that in a lump. Our cities have been steamrolled over and over again. America's been built up and built. Baseball stand the test of time. One of those collectibles that stand the test of time are sports cards, tangible cards. And yes, I think that digital, I don't want to say poses a threat. It's a cool thing, but I don't think we have to be, it's going to kill it, right? I think there can be both. I think there's room for both.
It's not going to kill. I mean, look, I come from the sports card world as well, and I love sports cards, and I believe that sports cards are going to be here for the future. I guess my kind of counter argument to that, and not really kind of counter argument, is, all these people that jumped in, right? Especially during COVID. And look, I was one of those people. When they see the opportunity in NFTs, right? When they see how much more versatility it has, what other things could kind of come out of it. And if they start to really understand the NFT space, are they then going to go look at sports cards and say, I don't know if I really want to go back to sports cards, where, like you said, chasing the alpha, right? There's a lot more opportunities with NFTs. I mean, I think the blue chips, right? The guys that are collecting the Bradys, the Mahomes, the LeBrons, like the Manos, they're not going anywhere, right?
So change the Brady, Mahomes, and Mantle to the Punks, the Ether Rocks, the Rare Pepes, maybe a couple of art pieces, maybe some of your X copies, not exactly all the other Plasma Bears. But I think you could say the same exact sentence you just said regarding NFTs. And I think there is a watershed moment coming for NFTs, maybe not this year, maybe not next year, where all of the goats and bulls and bears and koalas and whatever the heck else is going to be, people are going to chase that, and they're going to be penniless. Like those things that, yes, you're right. There are blue chips. There are blue chips in everything, right? And right now the NFT space has like two things that are more than a year old. So we'll see what happens, right? I mean,
we're arguing about it. Yossi, no, it's a blue chip. Been here for 4 months. I mean, you kidding me?
You mind if I take a shot at this? So I don't know if it's a podcast or a book I was reading. So it was talking about the restaurant effect, right? So Bear Street, you open up a restaurant. It's in the middle of an intersection, lots of traffic, right? The common, the intuitive, you would think with every new restaurant you put on that street, it actually hurts the business, right? But it's actually counterintuitive, right? Because when you put a restaurant on that block and you add 2, 3, 4 other restaurants, people start thinking, I'm just going to go into town and buy, and I'll figure it out when I get there. So to me, NFTs and sports cards actually complement each other. They grow that pie. And I think we're going to start seeing trades in between the two spaces, right? I made some money on a CryptoPunk. I'll trade you my CryptoPunk for my Jordan PSA 10. And I think they're actually going to complement each other and bring buyers from the NFT space into sports cards and sports cards into NFTs. At least that's my dream and my mission, because I think they help each other.
That's our hope.
I like that analogy.
So that's a good segue into what you guys are trying to do with your NFT project, which, from what I understand, is trying to do exactly that: bring traditional collectors into the NFT realm. Tell us about the project. Tell us about the inspiration behind it, and let us learn more. Just in the shower one day, I was thinking, what will be a cool project? I get all my best ideas in the shower. No, I mean, it's really that. We've had a lot of success in NFTs, right? So we've always, because we do a daily show, a daily podcast, we kind of, as we're going through things, we give people like the play-by-play, right? It's not like a week ahead and we kind of recap. We give people the play-by-play. And a lot of people from the community have urged us to create our own NFT. I don't know if you guys remember, there was this thing like Cage Coin. What was it? BitClout. And everyone's like, oh, Cage, create a Cage Coin. I would love to invest in you guys. So BitClout was like the first
I don't know if it's a true NFT, but it had that same
It's
concept
like
of where people could
meme-y.
invest.
It's like meme-wise, right? It was for like, it was fakey stuff. But listen, my take on this is exactly what we just talked about, right? So there'll be that watershed moment for NFTs, right? And you guys you spent 20 minutes talking about the roadmaps and what this thing is and why Coolcats could potentially be the next best thing. And you talk about things like your vault, right? Or how Penelope's has a liquidity pool that no one else has. And World of Women has a collectors and investors club, right? So my fault is this, right? I have a lot of them, but my biggest one is I don't do anything without researching the hell out of it. And then when I'm done researching, I research some more, right? It happened with Top Shot. Someone asked me about it. I didn't know what the hell it was. And I just researched the hell out of it and said, all right, I get it. So we watched NFTs. A lot of these NFTs do nothing, right? They put an avatar out there and they hope that the community that they bring in around that avatar builds it up for them. There's nothing there by way of utility, right? They hope that the community that invests in it, the community that buys it, will build it up for them, a la Bored Apes, right? In the beginning, you got apes. Now they're going to mutant apes, they're going to kennel club and do this. But what's key about that, and they have money now, is that their user base, the owners of those, they're rabid. They got a lot of them. They own one or two, and they follow each other. Ape follows ape. It's a community that they've built up that's amazing, right? But what else do you have? And that's a very difficult thing to replicate. And everybody's trying to replicate it. It's very hard to do. Just build a community and just hope that they are diehard diamond hands, right? So we look at a lot of these things. Look at VFriends, access tokens, right? Hey, everybody gets something. Everybody gets utility. You gotta have access to VCon, right? This convention. Some of them have gifts attached. Some of them have freebies attached. And you know what we said? We said this is gonna happen. This is gonna happen in the future, right? We already have a community. Now it's not 10,000, right? It's not 10,000 deep, right? But it may get there. But we already have a community, and our community is already. They'll buy an NFT and never sell it ever. So that's the first difference, right? Our community wanted this as a way to say, thanks, guys. You haven't charged us a penny for 442 episodes. We'll rock a tiger. We'll put a tiger in our PFP. We'll throw one up there and say we're part of the community, and we'll give that back to you. But we said we've been all about value from day one. So we paid attention. We're going to do just like you're doing. We're doing an NFT fund where we're going to take our ETH, we're going to put it in there, and whatever profit we make is split amongst certain holders who have certain traits, sort of like World of Women did, right? As we mint, we're the only ones that are going to do this. We're doing tangible giveaways. We had 20% of our mint price. We're going to let the group decide. You want a Kobe Chrome PSA 10 rookie worth $15,000? We're going to give one away to somebody. You want a LeBron PSA 10? We're giving one away once we hit 20,000 mint, right? Because it is sports card guys. It's all guys who are intangible that we're trying to teach how to do this. We're going to do, my son, since COVID, I've been opening boxes with him every Friday. So we have over a year. Every Friday we do an opening, and it's live, and people watch it, and they kind of say, Ian pulls fire, right? We haven't even announced this. No one's pulled one of these yet. But we got a tiger. My son's got blonde hair, blue eyes. We got a tiger with blonde hair, blue eyes, holding fire. 50 of these in the 10,000. It's Ian pulls fire as the tiger. You get that? We go live with you on Friday. Ian picks a box, buys it for you, opens it. Right there, you get the cards in it. It's free. So it's tangible utility added in to the NFT. It's not just, wow, look at the art. Which, by the way, our podcast, family. We're all family. Yep. These guys go to war with each other. Andrew and I, we talk to each other every day, more than I talk to my own brother. Our artist, my 12-year-old daughter, did all the art. And everybody loves it. It's all family. So I mean, really, at base, we're trying to throw utility on there. We're taking what's worked for a lot of other projects and throw it there. But more importantly, we don't really care about the sellout. The biggest challenge we have is I'll never do that. And that was me. But that was me with Bored Apes. That was me with VFriends. I couldn't get the money in. So it was first, I'm not doing this. It makes no sense. Then it was, I'm in New York, Coinbase.
Well, it's intimidating. It's intimidating, frankly, the first time around. Like yesterday was our launch day. We did it a little earlier. We were planning to do it today because ETH was cheap yesterday. And I think we're seeing that now. It was very cheap. And gas fees were low because of that. So we were like, hey, guys, we got you ready. Why don't we do it a little early so that you could benefit? But I was on probably 20, 30 calls yesterday with people who, you know, like when your grandpa gets his first computer and you're like, okay, click start. Now click install. So with a lot of people, we walk them through to buy their first ETH, to get it into the MetaMask. So it's not just about this one project. Like if you guys want to invest in Lucas Tigers, amazing, will mean the world to us. But there's going to be other projects. And if we could kind of create the guardrails for you on the first one, you'll be able to profit in the future. And the people in our community, the sports card people have done well in the last 12, 18 months. So, and they want to find places to put their money. Cards are a little harder right now to find alpha, as we always say. So we're like, hey guys, give this a try. And it's been a rewarding experience. The money's great, but really the connection to our community is where it's at.
And some of these people might want to buy art. They might want to buy an artist NFT next week, next month, you name it. And they wouldn't have been able to do that if we didn't get them through this process. You know what I mean? It's easy. It's not expensive. And it's, hey, here you go. We're going to hold your hand. We'll get on a Zoom call with you. Here's how you open up. Here's what the MetaMask app looks like. I'm sending pictures to people. Like that kind of, like walk through, hold hands. Because you know what? That's what we do. And here's the best part, right? And we'll get there. I've been in so many NFT projects where the day after it sells out, you don't hear anything. It's dark. Forget about a rug pull. That, it's obvious. But, the team behind it, development team behind it, they're gone. No one knows who they are. It's anonymous to begin with because that's most of the crypto space. But you know what you get with us? We're there every day. You know who we are. You got our faces. And you know what? If you buy one that night, we may talk about the tiger you buy on that night's episode. So we're the exact opposite of a rug pull. We'll bring a rug to your house. We'll let you keep it.
So if I buy one or two, like maybe you guys will go away and won't see you for a while. Is there like a reverse effect to that?
If you buy them all, we'll go away for a day maybe. We might take a day off. You got to buy them all.
All right. Actually, marketing ploy. We're going to take a day off. Help us sell out. We're taking the day off.
What was most interesting? I know you had this concept and you wanted to bring these NFTs to life. You minted them yesterday. What was unexpected that you learned through the process that you didn't know when you started?
Let me rock first with this, and you'll go technical. Let me rock with this first.
There's a lot. But go ahead.
People want to believe in something. Is mine. I go really heady. I've been in that stage of my life. Sorry, guys, but like people want to believe in something, and they want to feel part of a community. They want to help, and that's been the craziest part. Like as we've started this, people reaching out and saying, "We love what you're doing. We've always wanted to be a part of what you're doing. If we could help with this project at all, let us know." So that's the coolest thing, right? Is to connect with people who, sure, they're giving you money, and they're also trusting you, and they're investing in you, and they want to be a part of what you're building. That's pretty cool for me because that shows why we don't take a day off, right? That's kind of like the culmination of all the hard work. It's like, oh, it matters to these people. They become our virtual friends, and a lot of them become our real friends. We met them at National, so that was surprising for me. I didn't expect that.
So I'll tell you, what I've learned through doing this ourselves is how easy it is to fake something in the NFT space, in the coming metaverse. And what I mean by that is, we have our podcast, not counting YouTube, just audio, has been listened to almost 275,000 times, right? We release an episode and it's 4-figure listeners every single day, right? And yet, obviously, an NFT is not what most of those guys do. But for the last couple of weeks, we've been building this project out, and we told people, let's get on Discord. Come join us on Discord. And it's a foreign, way of communicating for a lot of these people. We're on Instagram. We got groups like crazy. We talk to people all the time. We're on Twitter, but Instagram's been our home base. But we know that there's a lot of people listening to us. We know there's a lot of people, watching. Look, almost 6,400 followers there, right? So you would think with that on Instagram, and that's been built up over a year, that Discord, I look at a project and, it's the drunken raccoons, or it's, the limping lemurs, or whatever, silly project is coming out tomorrow. And you go and you click to try to research on it. You click in their Discord, and it's been around for 3 days, and there's 7,000 people in it. And you're like, what the hell is this? Now, we got 300 people in our Discord after a couple weeks. Now, they're faking it. Right? They're faking it. They're putting on airs. There's not 7,000 active users in there. They used a bot. They put in a bunch of baloney names to make it look like they've got a real following, right? They've made it look like it's going to be better than it is, so that you say, whoa, I got to get in this bad boy. It's going to sell out. They got 7,000 people in their Discord. Well, what I learned was I may never have 7,000 people in my Discord. That's a lot of people. I don't know how these limping lemurs did it. So there's a lot of fake shit out there. I don't want to say that. That's what I learned through the process. It's difficult to build this stuff up. And even us with what I consider a pretty significant following in the sports card world, you want to talk about your 1,000 true fans, my friend? Richard Babick. Love you, man.
Listen, if anything, you guys coming out to our show, you just made some money.
Well, I saw you guys are doing the giveaway in the vault. Is that right?
The goat vault.
Goat vault. I don't know if our tiger is in the goat category, but if you would have him, we would love to contribute to that.
We will happily accept all animals. We are non-discriminatory on the animal NFTs that we put into the vault. So we would love to have a tiger and add it to the vault and have our audience. That's epic of you guys.
And Luke and Nation, listen, they got to get the 5,000 followers for this vault. Get on there. If you're sharing this, share it, post it, share a link to our folks, put it up on Twitter, put it on your page, share it for these guys. Let's get them get to that 5,000, and then
smash that follow button. Smash that follow. Smash.
I like it. Let's tell the story of how we met Cage, because I think it's a pretty epic story.
Andrew was there.
Andrew was there.
You were there.
We had a. So this was what?
Clearly not.
When was Hofstra? 5 weeks ago?
It was August 20th and 21st.
Right.
August
So
20th, 21st.
a month ago. So I was meeting with Jason Epstein from Collectible, and he was sitting at the table breaking cards with his kids. And actually, Rich Babick, who just bought a tiger, he was there too. And you came up, and Jason introduced us, and we started talking about cards and NFTs, and you were telling me all the things you were buying.
Yep.
And
And what you said. Yeah.
What I said.
If you think that Yossi's the smart one, I'm gonna dissuade you of that right now. He said, "I don't care what."
I'm the face of the organization. I'm the looks. I'm the looks of the duo.
Well, listen. In my world, Andrew's the looks and the brains. I'm just the mouth. I just talk. I just keep going, man. But no, he says to me, he goes, "Listen, punks are gonna have a run." He says, "I don't care what they're at now. Punks, buy a punk. If you have the money, buy a punk." I had enough to buy a punk at the time because I had done really well in World of Women. And he's like, "Buy one now. It doesn't make a difference. Buy it now." And I said, "No way, man. I was at the National a couple weeks ago, and they were like 35,000, and they jumped to like 80,000. I'm still using fiat currency. Sorry, guys. I should do it in ETH. But you get it, right?" So I'm like, "I'm not doing that. No way. This thing just had a huge run. It's going to come back down. I'll find another time to get in." He's like, "Don't. Just get it now. It doesn't matter what it is. Get it now." And of course, they've tripled since then. I'm like,
I think like 3 days later they went up to like 250.
Yeah,
right?
They doubled 3 days after. I was in Disney World with my family, and I'm like, son of he was right. He was right. I'm like, I'm going to talk to this guy again and never live this one down. Of course, I didn't buy it. And it's funny. I have missed out on punks so many times. I'll eventually get one. It's just one of those things. As a matter of fact, Andrew has some grandiose goals for our fund. Over time, he hopes to be able to, trade up to a punk, because that is what I consider a blue chip. I consider that, for a multitude of reasons, one of the blue chips in the NFT space. And we'd love to have that in our vault and share profit of that with our crew.
There's two things that just right there, guys. Like, that's what our podcast is about. Like, FOMO. We all get it. We all get FOMO. We all feel like we missed out on that next best thing. And we try to urge people to realize it's such a long game, because we've learned that when I was impatient, I lost so much money. And I was like, man, I'm so impatient. Why am I doing this? Why am I chasing? Right. So like that FOMO that Cage experiences, we all get it. And we try to talk about that. Second, we lay it out there. Like, we tell the truth. We talk about what we're going to do in our plans. And 1,000%, like, our fund, I want our fund to be kind of the institutional money, both of NFTs and sports cards, right? When people know that when we buy it, we have diamond hands, we're buying for the long term. And I think institutional money is equally as important as kind of retail. It provides a bit of a backbone for both sports cards, NFT, stock market, etc. So I'm really excited. That's probably the thing I don't want to say most excited, but I'm very much excited for the funds that we tie into our DAO. And it's funny, we talk about NFTs, we don't talk about DAO, because that will just confuse the F out of people. But that's really what we're trying to do.
We'll get there.
A community-driven business. It's like above people's heads, but that's really the cool part, in my opinion.
You gotta let them crawl, walk, and then run. So DAOs may scare all the folks away. Let's get them into the NFT realm. How do people find out more about the podcast, about the Tigers? Where do they follow you? Where do they go for people who are listening and want to become a Tiger collector?
We'd love for you guys to mint. The mint page is awesome. And we added some bulk buying buttons because people were asking they had to do like buy one at a time. So it's just lucastigers.com. Lucas, Lukas, tigers.com. There's a start minting button. There's a roadmap and all that stuff. It's all right there. So lucastigers.com.
lucastigers.com. The podcast, you can find it anywhere you get your podcast. It's on Apple, Spotify, you name it. It's Lucas, Tigers, and Bronze. Oh my. My son opens the packs. My daughter did the art. My kids came up with the name. It's a little, Wizard of Ozzy, Lions, Tigers, and Bears, Lucas, Tigers, and Bronze, little homage to that movie. They came up with it. It's catchy. It's long, but that's
We're doing something fun too. So I'll speak to your NFT community because we've done a podcast. We listen to our people and they say, we love NFTs. We love sports cards, but we'd prefer if you guys kept them separate. So we are starting kind of, in Cage, I beat this word into Cage's head, he's going to hate me, a digital NFT publication where we could put out content and kind of in the Wall Street Journal meets IMDb. We're going to review NFT projects and how they're doing. We're going to put out content educationally. So if you're a writer, a designer in the NFT space, and you want to do something part-time, we're just starting it up. So it's kind of grassroots, but we're going to follow the same model we followed with the podcast. And we're never going to charge anyone anything for the content. We're going to find different sponsorships in the industry that pay for the content. So that's what we're all about.
Love it. I mean, look, the fact that you guys are bridging the gap, I think is a great thing. I talk to people on Instagram on a daily basis and sometimes about sports cards and about NFTs. And I have people thanking me for giving them advice that sometimes I don't even remember giving them tips or advice or just breaking down specific NFTs. But it's just like you guys said, right? I think the hardest part. I remember when I bought my first NFT and I was on the phone with Yossi and I was on the phone with my other buddy and do I transfer the money to the MetaMask and where does it go? Like it was like a really frightening experience. And now when people talk to me in dollars, I'm like, wait, how much ETH is that? Can we convert that back into ETH? Because it's just a whole different world. But I think the exciting part is that the more and more people that are coming into this world and actually start to understand it, I think the more and more exciting it's going to become. And it's great to see a lot of the sports cards guys in the world because I think these are the guys that are going to continue to grow it, and the more people that have come in, like you said, third inning of sports cards. I think for NFTs we're first out, right? Like we're batting practice. We're batting right. We're nowhere close because like of everybody, right? Everybody's like, wait, what is this? You guys were early. Like they'll be saying they're early now. Like you're talking about kids, my kids, whatever it is. This is the type of how they're going to function in 10 years.
1,000%. ETH is bigger than just NFTs too. Like people need to realize ETH is like the Sim City of the world, right? It's so much bigger than just buying this digital art. It's really a digital currency. Like how are we going to survive and transfer goods on the internet? So, and just use the example of our giveaway, right? Like when we have to give away things or we get to give away things to our community. All right, we show them the slab. We have to go to the post office. We have to package it, tape it up. I mean, you're going to drop me your guys' wallet address, and I'm going to send you the Tiger, and it's going to be in your wallet in less than 30 minutes. So just the simplicity of things, it's a little bit of a hurdle to figure it out. But once you get it, you're like, this is a joke. This is so easy.
It really is.
It used to be like that when sending an email. I used to have to telnet onto a server and do it all text-based. And now it gets onto your phone. You can't turn it off. It's wherever you go. And you wish it was a little bit harder for people to reach you. And that's what's happening in the crypto world and NFTs. So, this is why. I don't know if those physical cards are going to be around anytime soon.
I'm burning them faster than Benson.
How are we going to watch them?
Well, listen, if everybody burns their Jordan PSA 10s or half the population does, population makes money, right? It's kind of like
There we go. There we go.
He's got a very Thanos type of view of cards.
What Stanley and Yossi, what if everybody who owns a Jordan Fleer in any grade above a PSA 8 though, they have a special conference?
Well, that's what's gonna happen. I mean, that's what like we talked about this on the show. I mean, I think Fanatics is gonna come in and just punch everybody in the face because Ruben is super bullish on the NFT space, and he's gonna come in and do those types of experiences, right? Now you're pulling an RPA and you're gonna get courtside tickets, you're pulling an RPA, meet and greet with the player. But the way each RPA is gonna come with an NFT, right? And that's the way they're gonna send it out. And I'm assuming, you know, even PSA, right? It might be turned into some sort of NFT down the line of how grading is going to work, right? Or when you get like to redeem your card or something like that, right? It should all turn into some sort of NFT because it's just going to make life a lot easier and bring up the value of it, right? Because now you're getting not only a card, but your kids could go, you know, hang out with LeBron James or whoever the star is going to be 3, 5, 10 years from now.
1000%. Shout out Yamwax. He, I always give him credit, but he did something pretty cool. He graded Elon Musk's first card. I don't even know what it was. It's a pretty cheap card, but it was like a proof of concept. Graded 50 of them, serial numbered them on the back, sent them out. But then he also minted an NFT and he sent that out to the holder as well.
Very
cool. Seeing a lot more of that.
Yep, people are doing fun stuff. We can't wait to see what Fanatics does. We're actually talking to Panini this week.
Yep, Panini.
Awesome.
Hey, Panini.
So, guys, gentlemen, we appreciate your time. We're going to check out the podcast, and
thank you.
Our audience does. We're going to continue to check in with you guys to see where we're at with Lucas Tiger's NFT. We're also going to check in and make sure you guys take a day off. I mean, that's going to be like we need like we got to start a GoFundMe.
When they sell out, when all the NFTs are gone,
you guys sell out.
We're giving you permission to take a day off.
I think your community will give you a pass.
You know, not Christmas, not New Year's Day. Not only did we not take a day off, we invited 20, 30 of our first listeners on, and we did a Zoom episode with them. We had them all on and did the Zoom kind of like all together. So we go the opposite direction. People take a day off. we go twice as hard.
It's honestly not work. Like my dad, for 20 years, he woke up at 5 a.m., went to a cafe, and got paid like $60K. Like this isn't work. Like we've made more on sponsorships in the first year with the podcast. So like if I ever complain, I give my friends permission. Just punch me in the face. Like that, I shouldn't be complaining about this.
All right, well,
thanks, guys.
No complaints. Go to lucastigers.com. Check out the NFT drop. Thank you for being on the show, guys. It's been fun, and I look forward to watching your project continue.
Goats only. I love the name. And I love the backdrop, Stanley. It's super cool.
Thank you.
Those hats are awesome. I'm going to buy one, actually. So.
I'll send you one. They're limited edition, number to 25.
Kobe, number 24. Sorry. Drop your wallet. LucasTigers.com. We'd love for you guys to give the minting process a try. Appreciate Stanley, Yossi for having us on the show. Thank you, guys.
See you guys soon. Thanks, guys.
Well, that was fun.
Another sports card, guys, coming into the NFT mix. Yossi's like, sports cards are dead. No,
they're all coming. They're all coming.
They're not dead. I still believe in sports cards. NFTs are definitely, where it's at right now. But for all our listeners, all our new viewers who join, make sure to subscribe. Because
as Andrew said, smash the subscribe button. Click the subscribe button. Smash the subscribe button to stand a chance of being our Goat Bolt winners. And also know about all the cool content, new people, insights, and everything that we bring onto the show. This is the way you can learn about this crazy world of the metaverse and NFTs. And we are going to be your guides along that path every single week. Telling you what we know.
$35,000. Sorry. Goat Bolt is at $35,000. Cage and Andrew just donated a Lucas Tigers to the Goat Bolt. So we know now it's worth even more money. You see, the Goat Bolt is always working. It's always making money. And you guys are sitting there. Come on. We're going to give it all away once we hit 5,000 subscribers. Make sure you subscribe and tell all your friends. This was fun. Another week down. Another week down. We're not doing a daily show. 442. I mean, God
that'll
bless
take us a couple of years, but we'll
yeah,
get there.
But we'll get there. We're in it for the long term. We're part of the community. We want to give shit away for free. But most importantly, we want to spread the word. We want to learn with you guys, right? That's why we're bringing on guests every single week, learning about new projects, and seeing what happens. And we're giving to you honestly, right? The wins, the losses. This is not financial advice. I was reminded we got to put up a banner in the beginning and the end of our show about that. So this is not financial advice. This is not financial advice. We're just having fun. Remember our first show when I was like, we're just having fun. I'm having fun. That's all that matters. I know you're having fun too.
I can see you having a lot of fun that you just don't want to get off. All right. Well,
I gotta go.
Thank you for listening, and we will see you same time, same place next week on Goats in the Metaverse.
Peace.